I have been joined by Haruna Mohammed, who is the Deputy Director of Communications for NPP. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, too.
We're also expecting Honorable Alhassan Suhuyini, MP for Tamale North. He'll be with us shortly, but it's okay to start with you, right?
No problem.
Awesome. So we'll start with Imani's report on how the NPP manifesto is coming along so far. So I'm going to read from citinewsroom.com. It says here, Imani rates MPP government 48.78%. Well, that's 48.78%, sorry, for delivery on 2016 manifesto promises. Policy think tank Imani Africa has scored the Akufo-Addo administration 48.78% after assessing the delivery of its 2016 manifesto promises to Ghanaians. Manifesto promises, which have seen complete implementation, make up about 27% of the total commitment made by the NPP in 2016, Imani noted in a summary of the report. These findings were based on research it undertook to assess the extent to which promises the New Patriotic Party made before the elections have been fulfilled. So I'm going to quote what they had to say briefly, and then we'll hear from Mr. Mohammed. Collecting data from the 2016 MPP manifesto, all main and supplementary budgets by the government to date, annual progress reports, Auditor General's report, reports of statutory bodies such as the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, Parliamentary, Hansard's websites and various ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, newspapers and news portals. The results show that the government has achieved an overall performance on executing its manifesto commitment of 48.78%. So I would first want to hear from you on this number. What are your thoughts on the overall score of 48.78% as far as the delivery of your 2016 manifesto is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'll say a very good morning to the cherished viewers of Citi TV, and a very good morning to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. I think that this is a welcoming news from a research think tank in Ghana that has sought to do an evaluation of the performance of the New Patriotic Party over the space of 3 years. And I think that their analysis has given us something to look at the party level, because the party, we have what we call the research directorate, and we also take the findings of this particular research to look into it. And I'm very happy that this particular findings looked at our manifesto promise. This was the promises that we made to the people of Ghana. And I think that evaluating us based on the promises that we made to the people of Ghana, I think is the right thing to go. And they looked at the 18 chapters of our manifesto, looking at those particular areas that we have been able to, we promised the people to do. We talked about energy, we talked about economy, we talked about infrastructure. We spoke about how we are going to make sure that education sector is good, how health is going to be good for us. And looking at the analysis, telling us that from their point of view, we have been able to achieve 41. That is from their perspective, 41 of our promises out of 161. That is what they have done per their research. And you know, today, if you give another person opportunity to do analysis of our performance based on our promises, you would see that somebody will be counting more than 161.
But how do you feel that you perform below average in your 3 years?
Oh,
especially since people will vote for you based on your manifesto and the things that you're promising.
Yes, I don't think it's an average, because
it's below average.
I am a student of quality management. I'm a student of project management. And if you go to study what we call the Pareto analysis, the Pareto analysis tells you about 80%, 20%. It tells you that 20% of the effects you have is as a result of the 80% of the causes. So if you are able to deal with 20% of the courses, you'll be able to overcome 80%.
Isn't that looking at it as a half full versus half empty perspective?
No.
Below average is still below average. If I score 48.3, if my child scores 48.3 in an exam, he's failed. right? No matter what perspective I want to look at it from.
That is based on the angle that you're looking at it from.
Okay.
Because I am telling you that you can tackle 20% of the problems, and that will be able to solve 80% of the problems.
So what's your interpretation of the 48.78?
The interpretation of the 48.78% is that it is telling us that we still need more to do, so that Ghanaians will have so much confidence in us. Because when you look at the education sector, over 1.2 million children who wouldn't have been to school, a barrier of cost that was involved with the Ghanaian child, the schools that were going on in the northern sector, payment of grants for feeding and those things, these schools were being closed down. As at the space of the 3 years, Akufo-Addo had made sure that none of these schools are being closed down. So you see a very huge impact is made in the north.
But you scored 42.5% in education.
Yes, it tells you
Is that progress?
It tells you that...
Granted, primary was 100%, but overall, it was 42.5.
It tells you that there is more for us to do at the education sector.
Okay.
We introduced the double track system, and it's a temporary measure for us to be able to solve the infrastructure problem. And we have also ruled out to build about 804 infrastructure. As at September, 403 of that particular infrastructure had finished for us to be able to use it to take off the double track system. Before this particular research, the 2020 budget was not read. They did a research before the 2020 budget. And the 2020 budget is looking at a great infrastructure input.
But beyond infrastructure, you scored 33.3 for teachers. And teachers are a very crucial part of education. Right? You can build all the schools and give free education for everybody, but if teachers are scoring 33.3.
But do remember that even in the teacher level, when we came into office, there was freeze on employment as a result of policy credibility issues at the IMF. And employment were being freezed. When we came to office just recently, about 14,000 teachers are given the opportunity to be employed. Through the double track system, we recruited over 8,000 teachers. So we are putting so much based on this particular strike issue. We have released over close to 50 million Ghana cedis to be able to solve a legacy debt of from 2012 to 2016.
We'll get to the teachers later.
So it means that...
So you're satisfied with the score?
Yeah, I am very much satisfied. And then I think that as a party, we'll be looking at how we'll be able to improve on it. Because several other researches will be coming. But we are not going to poo-poo this research. We are going to accept it and we'll also look at it and see how we can improve upon our performance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. We've also been joined by Honorable Alhassan Suhuyini, MP from Tamale North. Good morning.
Good morning, Dziffa.
How are you?
I'm terrific. Hope you're well too.
I'm good. Thank you for being with us. What do you make of this Imani's rate on the NPP manifesto promise?
Well, first of all, I think we have to understand that this is not an impact assessment.
Okay.
And I was listening to the researchers make that point, that it is just to assess the effort.
Yeah.
And not the impact of the effort. So, for example, if you are assessing education and you score the effort in giving children free education, you are not assessing the impact of that free education on the general outcome of education.
But the effort is equally important because you promise something and you're delivering.
That's what I'm saying. It's important
to make that distinction.
We make that distinction.
Okay.
That effort does not necessarily lead to positive impact all the time.
Okay.
That is why I'm thinking that it is important that we make that distinction.
Okay.
So the effort is what is being assessed. Now, again, when you look at the assessment in isolation of other assessments that have been done, you may miss the point.
Okay.
Now, this same assessment was done of the previous government.
Okay.
And at the time that the previous government was 3 years old, they scored overall 47+%.
Okay.
Now, it was the same year that the Corruption Perception Index, the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, also scored the government Ghana's highest mark ever in terms of commitment and fight against corruption. It was also the same year that Afrobarometer did a survey. And so you have to look at the confidence level that Ghanaians had in the effort that was being, witnessed at the time and compare it to what we are seeing now.
Okay, but this specific one, they were not speaking to Ghanaians. They were just looking at the manifesto.
Yes, I get
other
you.
reports.
But I'm saying that you shouldn't
put it within the context
of other, assessment. And when you do, you realize that, for example, it is not surprising that the number one problem or concern of Ghanaians, according to the Afrobarometer today, is infrastructure. Because you see, in the assessment of 2015 by the Imani Ghana, infrastructure scored about 55%. Infrastructure this time around is below average.
Okay.
So it tells you that there's a deterioration. Again, even with education, with all the effort that this government has put into education, you just mentioned the score that they got. Now, in 2015, the previous government scored 55%.
Okay.
69.4% in education. So it tells you, when we say that there is a considerable level of deterioration in almost every sector.
Well, they scored 100% in primary, if we're going to quote the free SHS bit.
Yes, I'm talking about education overall.
Okay.
Education in general.
Okay.
So it's just a testimony of, the poor performance that we have spoken about over the period. But that's a takeaway from this. I mean, and I agree with the researchers that perhaps sometimes we tend to overpromise as politicians. And that is one weakness that, the researchers pointed to, that many at times politicians overpromise. And so even when you deliver so much, because the number of promises are that many, the percentage when it is tracked still puts you below average. But I think that beyond this kind of assessment, there's a need for us to also look at the impact assessment of some of these policies. Because, I mean, if, for example, free education was well thought through before its implementation, we wouldn't have had the double track system that we have today. And that is why, for us in the NDC...
And what's wrong with the double track system?
We all know what is wrong with it. I mean, parents are complaining about the number of days and months that their children have to stay at home.
But they still have access to free education.
The cost of that to them makes the free that they are offered by government, worthless. Because if your child is staying home for 3-4 months and you have to get extra tuition for that child, in some cases...
We can't necessarily, measure the, percentage of parents who actually feel the way you're describing, because free is free. Free is better than nothing, right? And if your child has access to free education, that is something that will help them develop as a human being.
I'm not contesting that. And I don't think anybody in this country has ever contested the need to provide free education. Nobody. In fact, the framers of the 1992 Constitution stated that education must be progressively free. So even to the university level, if we can make it free, we need to make it free. So nobody has ever contested the freeness. But that is why I talk about how will the free impact on quality education. It's always important. It's not just about packing classrooms with children. So that they go through the system and come out, half-baked. It's important that if it has to be done, then it's important that it is done well.
But that's being said with the assumption that the quality was any better before the free SHS.
It was.
It was?
It was.
Okay.
It was. I mean, that is why in the past, people or parents will take their children to private schools at the basic level. But will all struggle to take their children to the public secondary schools.
But now they don't...
Because the public secondary schools, offered some level of quality.
Yeah, but the schools also still accept based on merit. It's not that we are just going to bring anybody in because it's free. There are grades to this.
I understand. But you see, today, if you go to most of our schools and you find the conditions that I have spoken to parents, the conditions under which the children are living.
Yes, but the top schools still accept students based on their merit.
I am not. You see, you are making it look like I'm poo-pooing free education. I'm not.
Okay, that's not what I'm making it look like. I apologize if that's.
I'm not. I'm just saying that if we thought through it well, took our time to implement it well, because you see, what is important, if it has to be done, should be done well. So that's the point I'm making, that look, some of the problems that has led to the double track, it is because of congestion that we have double track. And I'm saying that we could have taken our time to eliminate this, congestion that the freeness has brought about, which has led to, in some cases, reduced contact hours for the children, and again has exposed them to diseases in some cases. In fact, most of the schools are having to deal with all kinds of communicable diseases, and parents are not comfortable. So I'm saying that if we go beyond just assessing the effort of government to look at the impact, for example, if you look at an assessment of one district, one factory. Now, it is important to go beyond the effort that government has done to the impact, because what was it supposed to solve? One district, one factory was supposed to provide jobs, employment for the teeming youth. Now, it's important to assess how many jobs have been created as a result of one district, one factory. How many people who hitherto were not working have had jobs because a district has sprung up in their factory.
Which was not the objective. Yes,
that is the impact assessment, but which was not the objective of this assessment. But I'm saying it's important to go beyond that. Then, one village, one dam. What was it to cure? One village, one dam was to provide irrigation services, in our communities, so that farmers will do dry farming, dry season farming. Now, so when you say, okay, the government will tell you have dug 200 boreholes, dugouts, because we have been told these are not dams. In fact, the minister herself says that we should take it like that.
But
what were we expecting?
54.35% on its commitment to the economy. Isn't that a good sign?
Well, that's a good sign. But I'm saying that
so all these things might have contributed to the overall economy if they are scoring, above 50%.
I am not, disputing any of this. I'm not disputing the effort. I'm saying that it is important that we go beyond the effort to look at impact.
Okay.
Because, you see, it is not just enough to do something for the sake of it, to tick a box. It should have, an end. And the end should be towards moving this country to the next level. So if you want to improve agriculture, for example, and you in the rural communities, and you promise them, dams that will be used for irrigation, it's not just enough to go and dig a hole for water to collect and say that I've met that promise. It has to relate to the irrigation and then the farming, and then you know that yes, indeed, there is some forward movement. But to just dig a hole for water to collect, and in some cases, the dams have been so badly dug that the first rains, they are washed away. But then in this kind of assessment, Emmanuel will say, effort done. A promise achieved.
So that's why I'm saying that it's important that we go. Because I saw him writing down a lot as you were.
Dziffa, thank you very much. I think he has made points out of the research that was conducted. He keep on mentioning about impact assessment. We all do understand that when there is an assessment, it goes through some processes. That is when we have the input, where we have the process, where we have the output, where we have the outcome, and then you go to the impact assessment. Obviously, we cannot be asking Imani now to be conducting an impact assessment.
But election year is next year, so
but
we be talking about
the number of years that it has to take to get impact is for you to be able to measure impact. It's too short a period. Now,
3 years is too short a period.
If you want to see the impact of the dams, this is the first season of the dams. First season, right? And then the farming activities are just going down now in the northern sector of the country.
But didn't the NPP measure some of the impact of projects by the NDC when you were in the minority?
Remember, one of the impacts to measure within that particular sector will be looking at the produce from the farms. Okay, and we have abundance of foods. So if they are doing an assessment now and they are telling you some outcomes or outputs, I think that is valid enough for us to look at it. But to measure impact on education, later, it will be about 10 or 15 years or 5 years after that, you would see the impact of our measures that we have put into education.
42.5% education, 34.4% health, 46.21% governance, and 44% in the social sector.
Yes, I agree. But
you can measure some impact in there, no?
Yes, he mentioned about the performance of the NDC at the same time last year. That was the second term of the NDC. Go and look at the first term, the first 3 years in the NDC.
Okay.
Right? What was the assessment?
Okay.
What was the assessment? Even in the second term.
That was not correct.
Even in the second term.
I don't think this one I must allow it to go. The Imani assesses promises, and they were assessing the 2012 manifesto promise, and it was not stretched beyond 2012
so you're talking about the,
before 2012.
NDC.
It was just the 3 years of John Mahama as president.
Okay.
No, John Mahama was spending the second term of the NDC.
Yes,
it's a fact. Nobody can dispute it.
It was the 2012 manifesto promises,
which was the second term of the NDC.
It was the 2012 manifesto.
Which was the second term of the NDC, right or correct?
No, but you see, if they were going to add the first term to it, maybe it would have scored higher. You would have gone to...
Remember, it's not about cumulative additions.
Yes,
it is about assessment. And that's your second term. Wait and see the second term assessment.
On Citi TV, let us know what you're thinking with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 05505858832. We will be right back. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you are watching on Facebook, please comment. And if you are watching on other social media platforms, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And the WhatsApp line is 05505858832. I have still with me Haruna Mohammed, who's a Deputy Director of Communications for NPP, and Honorable Alhassan Suhuyini, MP, Tamale North. And before the break, you were responding to the Imani's scorecard of MPP's manifesto so far.
Like I was saying, even the score, as mentioned by Honorable Suhuyini on this platform, says that the NDC scored 47%.
Respectfully, we are not comparing and contrasting. We voted for change.
Yeah, but
you made a lot of promises, and they've come out and said that the government is now below average. Next year is an election year. What does this mean for you?
I'm just doing that comparison because he has went there. He said that even last year, when Imani was doing for the NDC, the NDC scored 47%.
Okay. On which one exactly?
Overall.
Okay.
So, and the overall score for Imani on the MPP is the 48.7%.
So that means you have 1% ahead.
Yes, and that is why Dr. Baumia says that even our West, our West is their best.
Okay, so you admit that the government is at its worst 3 years into fulfilling its manifesto.
No, government is not at its worst.
Okay.
I am just saying that Dr. Baumia had said even our West is more than is better than their best.
Okay.
So if we have performed 48.78% now, and you had performed 47%, and you say we should clap for you, I don't think it's going to be water.
Okay.
Then you talk about the double track system, that it is not helping. It is. Double track system came because there were more people that were going to the schools. And as a government, that has moved away from this firefighting to where the human resource management practice tells you that you should be able to be proactive instead of being reactive.
Okay.
So we need to bring in such measures to be able to contain the Ghanaian child that wants to go to school.
Okay. Please wrap up
the schools, the quality issues, it's the same school, same teachers, same infrastructure, and improved upon.
Okay.
I think that they should credit this government with some respect and then some achievements that has been made in that particular sector. We didn't do that because of congestion, because of numbers.
Okay.
And then there is nothing untoward that has happened in the education sector that should be of negative to the MPP. Because my brother is here. We have all come from the north. We all know what Nobisco, Tamasco, Kalisco, all these particular schools, they were going through because of this fees. It's one of those schools is in his constituency.
Okay.
Because of food, releases of food, these children had to sit at home.
Okay.
He also knows today the clearly infrastructure thing that is happening in the northern part of the country, in Tamale, at the 0.7 interchange. This is something that has never happened before. So these infrastructure developments are going on.
Okay.
Look at the power project that we are putting on at Palogo. So all these issues are things that the government of Akufo-Addo is making sure that the people of the north and people of Ghana will be much improved better under the MPP government.
Okay, thank you. I know you want to respond, but you tied it into our next topic here. We're talking about the High Court ordering teachers to go back to school.
I just want to be sure that he said double track is not because of congestion. It's because of the numbers. Is that it?
That's what he said.
Okay, that's interesting. It's because of numbers.
Yes, because of the numbers of children who has come out to go to school.
Okay.
Yes. because of the increase in numbers.
So it's not because too many kids can't fit in one room. That's
Which congestion? There was no congestion in the first place.
Okay.
It's because of the numbers.
What do you mean when you say because of the numbers?
More students want to go to school.
Yes, but if we are all going to school in the morning,
when you talk about congestion,
right?
It means that the student had gone to the school and there was congestion. But
no,
the point is
if you have 100 students who are going to go into a classroom that can take 40, 50 people, how's that going to work out? You need to do two tracks.
When you talk about congestion, it means that all of them have gone into the school.
That's fine. I'll let you have that.
Yes. But in this case, we've realized that there's going to be more numbers that is going to the school.
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
So some should go in the morning, some should go in the
afternoon. Awesome. Okay, so I'm reading from page 15 of the Ghanaian Times, and it says here, call off strike action. High Court orders striking teachers. So Industrial and Labour Division of the Accra High Court has ordered the 3 unions to call off the strike action it declared on the 9th of December over legacy areas. The court, presided by Justice Ananda J. Aikens, further restrained the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT Ghana, from further continuing any strike. And it says here, it is further ordered that this order be for a period of 10 days, after which it may repeat on notice. Now, we're going to read the notice by the National Labour Commission themselves. Court orders striking teachers to call off strike. On the 5th of December 2019, the National Labour Commission invited the representatives of the Ghana Education Services, Ministry of Education, and Fair Wages and Salary Commission, the national, so they talk about the 3 associations, NAGRAT, NAT, and CCT, to appear before it to resolve their issues, having disobeyed the directive of the National Labour Commission issued together with its letter summoning the parties to appear before it on the 10th of December 2019, as well as embarking on an illegal strike action. The National Labour Commission, upon an application to the High Court presided over by Her Ladyship, secured an injunction restraining the said unions, whether by themselves, their executive officers, members, agents, servants, employees, or other persons, to comply with the directive of the National Labour Commission dated 5th December 2019. Now, the student unions, well, the teacher unions are also responding, and they are saying that the NLC now impotent after court intervention. That's coming specifically from NAGRAT, and I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. So the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, Angel Carbonu, says it will no longer engage with the National Labour Commission because of the court order to the teachers union to temporarily suspend the strike. They go on to say that they are going to go back to school, but they are doing so unwillingly. So what does this mean for NAGRAT? What does this mean for the quality of education our children will get? And is there another way that the NLC could have handled this situation? Honorable Suhuyini, let me start with you on this one.
Definitely, yes. I have said repeatedly, and I agree with my brother when he says that the impact of some of these reckless decisions that we are making will only come home to us, few years from now.
What do you mean by reckless?
I have repeatedly said that our education system, because you see, I'm a trained teacher, is in crisis.
Okay.
Trust me. And we will only feel this or appreciate this in about 5-10 years to come. Because you see, we are simply not, concerned about improving education. All we seem to be doing is to score political points.
Okay.
And that is why I say that in relation to this strike, many things could have been done differently. But listen to the communicators of the NPP. All they are interested in, and even the minister, is to make the point that these are areas that were accumulated from 2012.
Okay.
And then go beyond to insult the leadership of the teachers. That they are being used to sabotage the system. They are NDC people. When there is a problem to be solved, our government seems to be so preoccupied with the partisanship and the politics.
But doesn't the fact that 90,000 of the teachers have been paid good faith that they will pay the remaining teachers?
You see, that is what again government says.
Yeah, but because the teachers were owed between 2012 to 2016. They were not paid. We're in 2019, 90,000 of them have been paid.
Let's be patient and listen not only to one side and run with it.
Okay.
Government says they have paid 90% of the teachers. The teacher unions, and trust me, this is the first time this is happening. NAGRAT, NAT, and Concerned Teachers Association cannot be that daft to be that, intransigent.
Okay.
When they see genuine effort of government to really, meet these arrears, payment of these arrears. I don't think they are stupid people. So it is important that we give them a hearing too, and not just say that they are saboteurs and they are meant to, make the government look bad. No.
Okay.
There may be some genuine reasons why they are embarking on this strike. And it's important that as a government, you have the presence of mind and show some level of magnanimity in listening to their grievances. I am sure it is that, dismissive attitude that has provoked, the unions to declare the strike in the manner that they did. Because, look, in the past, concerned teachers and NAT have even had their own issues, where concerned teachers will declare a strike and NAT will be against it. But if you have all these three unions now coming together, then there must be something really, at stake that has to be, resolved.
Okay.
But I think that government posture over this matter has not been the best.
Okay.
For the Minister of Education to call them saboteurs, to call them NDC members, I mean, it's insulting. These are graduates. These are people who are to mold the future of our children, and you think they cannot make up their mind and take a decision to secure their interest, except or apart from only if they are pushed like political stooges. It's not fair to them, and I think that is what has aggravated the situation. I am happy that the National Labour Commission has made this ruling. I'm also happy that the unions are respecting law in this case, and that should tell you that these are reasonable people.
Yeah,
they say they will go back. Yes, they
yeah.
say they will go back because the law wants them to go back. It's not because they are satisfied with whatever discussions that they have had with government in relation to the payment of these arrears. And you see, there is no government that does not inherit arrears. No government has come into office without arrears that they have to deal with, from the previous government. So when you are steep in the partisanship and in the politics, and you tend to politicize everything, then you have some of these things, rearing its heads. And you remember that these are not the only areas that we have had problems with. Even contractors have been put in similar situations where the president comes out to announce that they have cleared all areas and do the partisan show with it, only for contractors to come out and say, look, it is not true. You have not cleared it. Go to National Health Insurance Secretariat. The service providers too have also had to come out to disagree with the president and his ministers. So I think our government must sit down and I can understand. This is somebody who has campaigned for so many years that he has forgotten that campaign is over and it is time to deliver. And so you see that because they have done the campaign for a very long time to get to where they are, they have forgotten that they are at where delivery matters much more than campaigning.
Okay.
And so
the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department says the last batch of the teachers will be paid exactly 1 week from today. That's about 1,200 members. Isn't that progress?
That's what I'm saying. Look, I am not disputing these, figures that are coming from officialdom. But you see, over the period, like I have indicated in relation to the contractors, in relation to the National Health Service, I'm saying that let us not just take wholesale.
Okay.
Hook, line, and sinker, what we are told by officialdom. Let us also give a hearing
to the teachers themselves.
And we
have done that.
And find out what are the numbers according to their data, and why are they not satisfied if indeed government has, done so and so. And that is
well,
where perhaps
they're saying that 7 years in the making, they can't wait anymore, right? So even if it's 10% that has to be paid, they want the 10% of their teachers to be paid before they go back to the classroom.
And that's fair.
But now they are all going back to the classroom.
Especially if they see the attitude to be dismissive,
well,
be disrespectful.
They didn't mention the attitude bit. They just said they want to be paid 7 years after waiting.
You can hear them. You can hear the communicators, insult them and call them stooges.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed.
Alhaj. Very interesting. You see, it's very good to look at teachers' affairs and also to look at this particular strike. First of all, the Minister for Education has not called the leadership of the teacher unions stooges.
Okay.
He has not insulted them. He hasn't said anything about them with respect to them being NDC. There is no any official communication from the minister talking about this.
Okay.
Secondly, the teachers that are on strike are Ghanaians.
Okay.
The children that they have to teach in the classrooms are Ghanaians. I am sitting here to speak because I have gone through the hands of a teacher. So the teacher is very important to the Akufo-Addo's government.
So why have they not been paid?
Yes, that is why I am going to run you through and to point some issues out for you, if indeed we want to solve issues based on discussions.
But why were some people? Because the PRO of the Ministry of Education was here, Eko Vincent,
yes,
and he said something along those lines of there's some political interference in there because if 90% of them have been paid, why are the remaining 10%?
You see, the teacher union. You know that some teachers have refused, and they have come out openly to say that this is a strike for leadership.
But at least the PRO also told down a similar line of political interference.
That this is a strike for leadership of the teacher unions, not them, because to them they feel satisfied. One.
But you're not answering what I said about the PRO.
One. I'm saying that I have not heard the PRO.
Okay, that's fine.
I have not heard him say that it is political.
And it was a question related to what his minister had said.
The point is that if a statement is made or you look at this strike critically, you would see that at least what at all is the problem. You get the point.
The problem is 30,000 of them have not been paid.
I'm going to give you the analysis as to how the payment is. And nobody has contested that.
Okay.
It is true that this particular debt, the arrears that is outstanding for the teachers, is right from 2012 to 2016. And I also agree with my brother that every government comes to inherit arrears on the teacher front, but not a reckless arrears.
Okay.
Something that was kept. The government has refused to pay them. You just read that over a 7-year period, they cannot sit again. You know that the Akufo-Addo government is not 7-year-old. Akufo-Addo government is what? 3 years.
Yeah, but you inherit liability.
We accepted the responsibility. And that is why we have worked on it.
Okay.
The request by GES and the teachers with respect to the number of teachers who are affected by this particular areas was about 120,236. These requests were submitted to GES for validation and processing. Out of this particular number, 87,556 were paid, representing 95% of validated lists, not the 122,232.
That's fine.
And if you are going to match it against the 120,232, it will give you 73% that has been paid.
Okay.
The difference here is 1,847. Because of 1,847, a government that has done a lot of commitment to release over 50 million, close to 50 million, to pay arrears of teachers, leaving just 1,847.
How did you arrive at the 1,000? Because they are saying 30,000 of their members have not been paid. They've done all their due diligence. You went from 120,000, 90,000 of them have been paid. That means the remainder is 30,000. And even if it's just 2 Ghanaians who have not been paid in 7 years, isn't that something the government should prioritize?
Yes, even if it is 1 Ghanaian.
Okay.
That is why His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, did not employ the Yentiobia syndrome.
But why are we ordering them back to the classroom instead of just paying them?
It is not a force order, it is a court order.
Yes.
So, and we live in a democracy. National Labour Commission decided that let me go to the court.
Why don't
which
we
is
just
very
pay
legitimate.
them? Why don't we just pay them?
You just read.
Christmas is right around the corner.
That 19th December.
Yes,
the last
1,200
so
are going to be paid.
is making sure that the teacher
but
will
the
go
teachers
home
are
with
going there unwillingly. They're going back to their classrooms unwillingly, which means their needs are not being met.
Yes, we appreciate their opinion that they are going back to the classroom unwillingly. But the government has shown commitment that even though they are going back unwillingly, come 19th of December, the rest of the arrears will be paid to them.
See,
that is what the government
this
has
number
done.
here says 1,200. The teachers are saying 30,000 of them are owed.
Yeah, that is left with them to contest that with
but
the
they said
DES.
they've done
You know,
everything. They've submitted all the papers they're supposed to submit. They've followed all the protocols, and they are still not being.
If you submit a document for payment
over a 7-year period, following everything you're supposed to do.
If you submit a document for payment, that document would have to be evaluated.
Yes, and that's a month ago
and
that they
the
submitted
evaluation of that document will tell you whether you should be paid or you should not be paid.
That's fine.
And the assessment of these particular validations is done by the Ghana Education Service. And I think that if the teacher union thinks that 30,000 and they are mentioning 1,000, there is still the room for them to go and sit with the GES and contest that.
Okay,
and
thank
that
you.
is what we seek. The reason why my brother Eko said that there is something or underhands dealings in it. Remember, the strike was declared on Thursday.
He said he didn't
You say you don't. Yeah, you say you
No,
didn't
you
hear
said
him.
it.
But you said you didn't hear him.
No,
so
I didn't hear him. You said it. So I am proceeding on the premise that Eko sat here and said that it was politically motivated. I didn't hear him, but
he was on point of view.
The reasons that we communicators of the MPP ask questions are that you want to solve a problem.
Yeah.
The one to solve your problem is available. Get him to sit with him. You declare a strike on a Thursday. You declare a strike on a Thursday. The next day, Friday, is a farmer's day. The next Saturday, Sunday, you will not get the opportunity to sit with the person to debate. And it takes effect on Monday.
Okay.
So that is why people are pointing. There must be something
people
boiling under.
or NPP saying that.
Many people. It's not only
we'll
NPP.
move on to our final story.
Just a quick one.
I'll just read the final story and then you tie it in because I really want to.
Just less than
that's
a minute.
fine.
You see, a responsible government takes assets and liabilities and run with it.
Okay.
Like when President Mills took over in 2009, President Kufuor had signed an increment for teachers, about 32% increase in their salaries. President Mills never for once, with John Mahama as vice president, once blamed the previous government. They took it on their stride and they made sure that teachers were happy.
Okay.
And so that is what a government does. But you see, when you interpret every action, of union leaders in the partisan manner that you do, they begin to lose confidence.
That's
and remember,
perfectly fine. I do have to move on to the final topic.
I just wanted to draw your attention.
We're just going to move on. We don't have any more minutes to spare.
Just 1
the
minute.
final story, you tie it into. I'll let
minute.
you start your response to the final story. You tie it in. Osafo Mafo sues Auditor General over $1 million coal payment surcharge. I'm reading from CitiNewsroom.com. We know that the Auditor General came out to talk to he accused the senior minister of paying a UK firm $1 million for no work done. So the senior minister has now come out, and I'm going to quote him. He says, "I have today, Wednesday, 11 December 2019, instructed my lawyers to commence legal processes to challenge a disallowance and surcharge imposed on me by the Auditor General following his notice on 24th October 2019. Now, we know that when the Auditor General came after the senior minister, some people in the minority also said that the government is now going after the Auditor General for coming after the senior minister, and a whole lot of conversations. So the senior minister finally speaking and saying that he will be surcharging. Well, he says he will take the Auditor General to court over the $1 million coal payment surcharge. Your response.
Okay, thank you. Before I respond,
please respond to this because we have no time. If you respond to something else, I'll move on to him to respond to this topic.
I know. Just like he said, every responsible government takes assets and liabilities, and they don't complain. I will remind my brother that when we took over office, there was that particular debt nature in the Hajj board, of which he was a member. We never complained. We paid off and made sure that everybody went to Hajj. That is how responsibility a responsible government is.
Okay.
Going forward to how
Auditor General and Senior Minister.
General and Senior Minister, I believe that the Senior Minister is a citizen of this country. He holds a public office. He's been accused of a certain wrongdoing, of which,
corruption.
Yeah, of which he challenges that. The Auditor General went ahead in the audit report to surcharge him. I do sit here. I know audit processes.
Yeah.
Audit is not an event.
Okay.
Audit is a process.
Okay.
And when you are conducting audit and you make adverse findings within the process, they should be given the opportunity
to respond.
Persons given the opportunity to respond.
Okay.
In terms of management letters, so that you will incorporate same into the audit report. And at the end of the day, you will have an exit conference.
Okay.
At that particular exit conference, such persons would also have the opportunity to discuss the findings. And I think that if these particular things were done or were not done, and the senior minister is not satisfied with that, I think that he's right to go to court.
Okay, thank you.
And that is exactly what the senior minister is doing, because he has been a minister for finance, and he's the senior minister currently. And I think that he knows what the financial law says. He knows all what the standards stood for. And going to court is a legitimate issue. And
Thank
I think
you
that
very
the
much.
court will make a
Honorable
decision
Suhuyini.
based on the findings.
Auditor General versus the Senior Minister.
You know, this
Senior
is
Minister is
another,
taking him to court now.
This is another example of how Ghanaians were swindled in the 2016 general elections by a bunch of dishonest and clueless people.
How?
They campaigned on the notion that they were coming to fight corruption. And today, this is one other example of how corruption is fighting them.
No, really. If you accuse someone of corruption, they can counter-sue you and say you have the wrong thing, no?
I understand. That is, if it's just you can say
it's an allegation
process.
still.
Yes, but you see, it is not just even the suing. It is the events that have led to this that should let you understand that corruption is fighting them now in office, and it's proven to be, the most corrupt regime this country has ever had.
How?
Because you see, the Corruption Perception Index by Transparency International has stated that. Afrobarometer, has stated that. And then ask yourself, where is Anas Amrial Anas? The president promised to fight corruption using the Anas Amrial model. Today, Anas is like, it's like Kakamotobi to this government.
Really?
Oh, yes. I mean, Kennedy Ajaponya and others are set on Anas Amrial Anas to destroy him and to question all his modes of investigating corruption. And he says it, that he will go after him.
Let's go back to the senior minister.
No, it is corruption.
Okay.
It's corruption. And I'm saying that the promise was to use the Anas model. Today, Anas is under siege. Manasseh Azuri is one of the journalists in the past who was celebrated for exposing corruption. Today, he's under siege.
But respectfully, you can't accuse the senior minister of corruption and not. Has he done anything wrong in trying to protect his name and his credibility?
I'm just talking about how this government is so uncomfortable with people who are noted to be upright and willing to expose corruption in this country. Recently, Domolevo has just been given the Integrity Award by the CDD. What did Gabi Asaro-Chiridako say? That they have lowered the bar.
Okay.
That is a man of integrity that this government is uncomfortable with.
Okay.
I talk about Manasseh Azure. He's under siege. He did more revelations under the previous government than he has done in this government. But he was moving freely under the previous government, but under this government, he has had to be taken abroad because of his safety and given security to roam in this country.
Okay.
And now it is Domolevo. Forgive me.
It's okay. It's
now
a mouthful.
Look at what he's also being taken through, and that is why even diplomats are beginning to express concern.
Okay.
I think the Danish.
We have run out of time.
just spoke about how, the government sometimes want to target people who expose corruption.
Okay.
The Australian High Commission.
But you do agree that the senior minister has a right to sue the Auditor General if he feels as though he's said something
beyond this
right.
legal gymnastics, the posturing of the government does not seem to support people who are people of integrity and willing to expose corruption.
Thank you very much,
I've just given you a list
Suhuyini,
of them
MP
how they
for
are
Tamale North, for being with us,
and
Mr. Haruna Mohammed, Deputy Director of Communications, MPP, for being with us. I wish you both a very lovely Thursday. And you at home for staying with us. Up next is Tax Dialogue. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi there. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends.
This is Breakfast Daily on Citi TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.